Welcome back to This Week in Magic Online Finance. I'm your host, Chaz Andres, and I'm on vacation this week, so I don't have any of the usual movers and shakers for you. What I do have is an entire video about a subject that I've been passionate about for a while and I've been meaning to talk about, which is the best way to buy into Legacy on Magic Online. Now, I love Legacy, but let's be honest, it is not a cheap format to play. And in fact, in the world of paper Magic, the further you go back in those formats, the higher and the harder the barrier of entry. So while a good standard deck will run you about $300, a good modern deck will run you about $1,000, and a good legacy deck will run you $2,000 or $3,000, sometimes even more. Now on MTGO, these obstacles are much milder. A standard deck is only going to run you about 200 tickets, a modern deck 300 or 400 tickets, and a legacy deck just 500 or 600 tickets. And look, I know that this isn't cheap, and for some of you, that is a hilariously unrealistic amount of money to spend on a hobby, but compared to paper Magic, MTGO's Eternal formats are far cheaper. They're more accessible to more people, and that's why I wanted to take today to look at one of my favorite Magic formats and see if we can come up with the best, savviest way to buy in. First of all, this is a really great time to be buying into Legacy. And I realize I spent a lot of time on this channel talking about seasonal trends, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But it is worth remembering that people are focusing on their last summer vacations, back to school shopping, Labor Day barbecue plans. They're not really thinking very much about Magic, especially not Eternal formats like Legacy, which means that prices are a little bit depressed across the board. Even more importantly, the Legacy metagame has just gone through a pretty major shakeup. The Deathrite Shaman ban was huge, and as we saw from Pro Tour 25th Anniversary, the metagame now is very different from the metagame even 1 month ago. And financially, the prices haven't really moved a ton to reflect this, so you can buy one of the hottest new decks in Legacy, you can buy into this new metagame without having to worry about another change coming soon, and without having to worry about paying an extreme premium. So, if you're looking for the Tier 1 Legacy deck with the lowest price tag, your best bet by far is Black-Red Reanimator. It's one of the 8 most popular decks in Legacy, and while the other 7 range in price between 450 and 850 tickets, you can actually buy into Reanimator for under 300 tickets, and that is actually cheaper than Blue-White Control, Grixis Midrange, and Turbo Fog in Standard. So what's the downside? Well, the only one I can see is that a lot of the more expensive cards in this deck aren't terribly useful in any other decks. You're paying for things like Unmask, Griselbrand, and Lotus Petal, though Griselbrand and Lotus Petal do see some play in Sneak and Show, so you could pivot over in that direction if you wanted. Beyond that, you're buying things like Fetch Lands, which you should either own anyway or will be useful in a bunch of other decks. And also there's a single copy of Scrubland, though online that is only $1. If you want to blow paper Magic players' minds, tell them you can buy dual lands for $1 on Magic Online. If you're looking for another good budget option, check out Elves. Now, Elves is not as good a deck as Reanimator, but it's only about 250 tickets to buy in, and a lot of the cards that make Elves expensive are staples in Modern. It's things like Misty Rainforest, Surgical Extraction, and a Singleton Cavern of Souls. So, if you play Modern Humans, or you just have these cards lying around your collection, you may already be more than halfway to a pretty good Legacy deck. Now, if you've got a little more cash to invest, I recommend checking out Grixis Shadow. The biggest problem here is that the deck's going to set you back about 750 tickets, and that is not cheap. But what you're going to be getting is the hottest deck in Legacy, and also a deck that has lots and lots of multi-format staples that will open up lots of different avenues for you in both Modern and Legacy. It's cards like Wasteland, Force of Will, Surgical Extraction, Liliana of the Last Hope, cards that are crucial to black-based control in Modern, blue-based control in Legacy and Vintage, so this is not a bad way to spend those 750 tickets. Or you can simply opt into the most popular deck in Legacy right now, which is Grixis Control. Now, the good thing about Grixis Control is that almost all of the expensive cards you're buying here are multi-format staples, and most of them are Modern staples. As things like Jace the Mind Sculptor, Snapcaster Mage, Liliana the Last Hope, Engineered Explosives, Surgical Extraction. These are cards you may already have in your Modern collection, and if you do, you're basically a playset of Force of Wills away from the top deck in Legacy. But let's go in the other direction for a moment. What if you want to get into Legacy for less than $100? Is that actually possible? Well, sort of. I mean, it is, but you really only have two options. The first, of course, is Burn. There's a Burn deck that'll set you back about 85 tickets. It's actually pretty good. Most of that money is going to be spent on a playset of Eidolon of the Great Revel and a playset of Goblin Guides. Beyond that, it's things like Lightning Bolt that are easy enough to come by. Now, if you don't like Burn, your other option is the most high variance deck in the history of the game. It's Goblin Charbelcher, a deck that's capable of winning a tournament of any size no matter what it's up against, and a deck that's also capable of going 0 for 10. A lot of it comes down to luck, but it's a very cool deck. The expensive cards here are Lion's Eye Diamond and Chrome Mox, two cards that are kind of cheap online despite their crazy high price tags in paper. So you can buy this deck for about 98 tickets, which is not bad for a Legacy deck that's capable of tangling with the big boys. Now, once you already have a Legacy deck you like, the best way to grow your Legacy collection is simple. It just takes a really long time. What you have to do is wait for a master set or another reprint set to be announced. You figure out what staples in there are going to be reprinted. You wait for the price to hit bottom, usually a couple weeks after that set's release. You buy a playset or two, and then you don't sell them. And you do this over and over again for years until you have most of a Legacy collection. That's what I did, and it worked out just fine. So to that end, it's worth taking a look at the 20 most played cards in Legacy according to MTG Goldfish, and taking a look at which of the staples have been reprinted the most recently. What we find is that we've got Flusterstorm that was reprinted in Iconic Masters, we've got Jace the Mind Sculptor and Chalice of the Void printed in Masters 25. Now, all three of these cards have gained significant amounts of value since their reprint low, and the last two cards have their price more impacted by modern and modern playability than anything having to do with Legacy. But all three of these cards still seem to have room to grow, and the further and further away we get from their last printing, the higher I think their price is going to get. So all three still feel like buys to me at current retail. That's all I got for you today. I'll be back next Monday morning for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance with my usual movers and shakers. I'm Chaz Andres, and I will see you then.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome MTG content just like this. And make sure to tap the bell icon to be notified whenever a video is made live. If you want to keep watching content, here are 2 more videos for you. This video and many others are sponsored by MTGO Traders and Cape Fear Games. Buy and sell digital singles to build your online collection today with MTGO Traders, and get your paper singles, accessories, and much more from Cape Fear Games. Whatever your Magic needs, both places have you covered.